For decades, the Dalai Lama has been seen as a spiritual leader and a symbol of peace. But what if there's more to his story? What if the 14th Dalai Lama has ties to one of the most secretive intelligence agencies in the world, the CIA? Today, we're diving deep into the shocking revelations, declassified documents, and historical evidence that suggests the Dalai Lama wasn't just a religious figure, but a key player in Cold War espionage. The historical context. To understand the Dalai Lama's alleged CIA connections, we need to go back to the 1950s and 60s. This was the height of the Cold War, where the United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a battle for global influence. Communist China under Mao Zedong was a rising power and had taken control of Tibet in 1950. This occupation was deeply unpopular among Tibetans, leading to a growing resistance movement. Around this time, the CIA was engaged in covert operations to weaken communist governments worldwide. Their strategy: support anti-communist resistance groups. Tibet was a key battleground, and the US saw an opportunity to destabilize China by backing Tibetan insurgents. The CIA's involvement in Tibetan resistance. Declassified US government documents confirm that from the late 1950s to the early 1970s, the CIA was directly funding and training Tibetan rebels. According to these records, the CIA provided around $1.7 million per year to support the Tibetan cause. The money was used to train Tibetan guerrilla fighters in military camps in the US and Nepal, arm and equip Tibetan resistance forces, conduct espionage missions against China, support Tibetan exile communities in India and beyond. Tibetan fighters were flown to secret training facilities, including Camp Hale in Colorado, where they learned guerrilla warfare tactics, radio communications, and sabotage techniques. These fighters were then sent back to Tibet to launch attacks against Chinese forces. The Dalai Lama's connection to the CIA. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. Official documents reveal that a portion of this CIA funding, around $180,000 per year, was given directly to the Dalai Lama. Adjusted for inflation, that's roughly $1.8 million in today's money. Why would the CIA pay the Dalai Lama? There are a few possible explanations. 1. To maintain influence over the Tibetan movement. By financially supporting the Dalai Lama, the CIA ensured that Tibet's most powerful leader remained aligned with American interests. 2. To keep the Tibetan resistance alive. With China tightening its grip on Tibet, the Dalai Lama's ability to rally international support was crucial. The CIA's financial backing helped sustain the movement. 3. To serve as a political pawn. The Dalai Lama's exile in India and his global reputation made him a useful figure in US propaganda against China. The Dalai Lama himself has admitted to receiving US assistance, though he claims he was unaware of direct CIA involvement at the time. And years later, he stated that he was grateful for the help but distanced himself from the agency's political motives. The end of CIA support. By the early 1970s, the geopolitical landscape had changed. The US was shifting its foreign policy to establish better relations with China, and support for the Tibetan resistance became a liability. As part of the diplomatic thaw between the US and China, the CIA cut off its funding for the Tibetan movement in 1974. This marked a major turning point for the Dalai Lama and his followers. Without CIA support, the Tibetan resistance weakened, and the movement had to rely more on diplomacy and nonviolent advocacy. Debunking the conspiracies. Now, does this mean the Dalai Lama was a full-fledged CIA agent? Not exactly. While there's undeniable evidence of CIA funding, there's no proof he was actively working as a spy or conducting covert operations himself. It's important to separate fact from conspiracy. Fact: the CIA provided financial and military support to Tibetan resistance fighters. Fact: the Dalai Lama received financial backing from the CIA. Speculation: the Dalai Lama was directly involved in espionage or military strategy. It's more likely that he was a beneficiary of US geopolitical strategy rather than an active CIA operative. The Dalai Lama's legacy and modern implications. Today, the Dalai Lama is best known for his messages of peace, compassion, and Tibetan independence. However, his past CIA connections continue to spark debate. Some argue that his relationship with the CIA undermines his moral authority, while others see it as a necessary alliance against Chinese oppression. Meanwhile, China has used this history to discredit the Dalai Lama, portraying him as a puppet of Western powers. This remains a key reason why Beijing refuses to negotiate with him or recognize Tibetan autonomy. So, was the Dalai Lama a CIA operative? Not quite. But was he financially supported by the CIA? Absolutely. The truth is complex, and like many Cold War stories, it's a mix of ideology, politics, and hidden agendas. What do you think? Was the CIA's involvement in Tibet justified? Does this change how you view the Dalai Lama? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more eye-opening content. Thanks for watching!